Hey there, today I wanted to talk to you about how to stay motivated to create. So, today I decided to paint something that I usually don't do and just follow my creativity and just paint something that I felt inspired to create. And while this is a time that we have probably a lot of time at home with all the social distancing and stuff, a lot of people feel the need to be super productive now and create lots and lots of stuff, but it doesn't always happen that way, especially with art, because you don't always feel inspired, you don't always feel motivated to create something. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about that, especially since I've been creating art for more than 2.5 years now, very consistently without having major art blocks. And there are a few things that were absolutely necessary for me to do in order to not be stuck and in order to stay consistent and motivated. So, this is what helped me the most. And I'd say probably the most important thing is to follow your curiosity, follow your creativity and whatever inspires you at the moment. It might be anything and it might not have anything to do with art. So, like, for example, when I was moving into my new apartment here, I felt inspired to create something on a big canvas. Even though I didn't do that, I don't usually paint on canvases. I usually paint in sketchbooks and on smaller scales. But I knew that if I painted on a canvas, I could hang it into my new apartment. And I felt inspired to decorate my new apartment. And I used that inspiration for the canvas piece. And also, if you're into plants, for example, which has become a kind of a hobby for me, even though they keep dying on me, then you can just paint plants or just make a journal spread with all the ideas that you have for plants that you want to get or what the plants need. Just write their names down and draw them or things like that. Just try to combine the things that currently inspire you with the kind of art that you like to create. So always follow your intuition, even if it might lead you to unexpected places. Don't even question your ideas, just create something from them. Because if you always question every single idea that you have, you're probably not going to create a lot of things. Just try something and explore something. Maybe sometimes also force yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone, like I did with this piece, because I don't usually draw or paint hands, which is not the worst part in this piece for me. It's rather painting skin, which feels very, very uncomfortable for me, but I really want to learn that. So I tried to ease myself into that with this hand painting. And yeah, sometimes it's really great to force yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone. But if you feel like this might just put even more pressure on yourself, then don't do it. Sometimes it's also okay to just paint the same thing over and over again. You don't have to reinvent the wheel with your art. Just create something because bad art is way better than no art. Just be very gentle with yourself. You're not a machine. You are a human. You have emotions. Sometimes you don't create the perfect piece, and it's absolutely okay. As long as you are creating something, that's just enough. That's so amazing. And if you feel like you're not really inspired, another really great idea is to just try supplies that you haven't used in a long time. Maybe you have something lying around that hasn't seen the light of day in a while, and I certainly have some of those supplies, and I feel like I will probably get them out at some point soon. Or just treat yourself to some new supplies. I've been saying this all over and over again that sometimes the best way to keep inspired is just to try new supplies. But Don't buy a whole lot of supplies because you will get overwhelmed, and then this will have the absolute opposite effect. So, in this case, also listen to your intuition, listen to what feels right. Do you want to try something new, or do you just want to do the same thing over and over again? Everything is okay here. And also accept that it's all a learning process. Don't compare yourself to others, obviously, but also don't compare your art to your former pieces. I feel like I can't stress this enough. You don't always have to improve with every single piece that you are creating. Not every single piece has to be better than the one that you've done before, because sometimes you're not in a good mood, or it just doesn't work out, or you've tried something new and it just doesn't look as great as your former pieces, and you don't always have to improve with every single thing that you create. You just don't. As long as you keep creating, you're probably improving overall, but I'd say don't compare yourself to anything ever, even if it's your former self. Just don't. It doesn't really help, and you can be proud of your art, you can be proud of what you're creating, even without comparing. So, another thing to keep yourself busy for a while is to just keep a project. Just do something that will take you a little bit longer and stick with it until it's done. Start a new sketchbook and fill it completely. I don't know, knit a scarf or create a video or write and produce a song. Whatever you feel like creating, just do it and stick with it until you're done, because once you're done, it's an amazing feeling and you can move on to the next thing. And like that being said, don't stress yourself too much to have the perfect end result, because it's not worth it. There's just no use in art if you feel miserable the whole time and do it just to have a pretty finished result. Just create pieces that you enjoy creating. And even though you sometimes have to force yourself to keep at it, you should still enjoy creating it most of all. It's like you have to enjoy, let's say, 60% of it, and 40% can be just you forcing yourself to do it, but it has to feel good overall so that there's really a use in creating art. My favorite book, if you haven't read it so far, is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, because she talks so much about inspiration. She talks about it like it's some kind of fairy, and you have to be kind to her so that she'll come back again, and you have to be committed to your pieces or your creativity, and you have to follow your gut instead of listening to your fears. I really recommend this book, especially if you feel stuck or if you just want to be a little bit more inspired. This is an amazing book. I've read the book version, and I've also listened to the audio version, and I can really recommend it. It's my all-time favorite. And also, this is important to say as well. It's okay to not always feel inspired. You don't always have to be inspired. Even if you aren't, you can still create something, but it's also okay not to create something for a while. You're only human and you're doing the best you can. You're not a machine and you have emotions, and that's totally valid. Especially if you're not creating for a living, just give yourself a break. And even if you are creating something for a living, just find some breaks that you can have. So, sometimes also, instead of focusing on improving your art, maybe think about your mindset instead. Because, in my opinion, it's one of the most important things when it comes to the creative process, and it's the whole reason why so many people face art block. Don't forget to be kind to yourself and let yourself enjoy your hobbies or your passions. Just be kind, guys. I hope you're all well and healthy and are getting through this time on a as as positively as possible and trying to make the best out of this situation. Let me know in the comments down below how you're dealing with this pandemic and how you're dealing with social distancing, how you're feeling at the moment. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this. And on that note, I hope you're having a nice week. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.